Adobe Max is right around the corner. Maxon is teasing some very cool new tech, and Cavalry 2.5 has dropped with lots of new features. It's Motion Mondays, and did you know that I recently released a #1 album?
This is the life of a motion designer, dragging curves till the clock's on fire.
Adobe Max 2025 kicks off in just a couple of weeks, and if you're planning to watch any sessions online, now is the time to start mapping out your schedule. Not every session will be available online, but the ones that are free to watch. Just head to the Adobe Max website, click the online button, and register. There are still in-person tickets available if you want to attend, and while they're not cheap, I can tell you from experience that Adobe Max is genuinely one of the coolest conferences I've ever been to. This year's lineup is totally stacked. Our friend and instructor Kyle Hamrick is speaking, along with upcoming School of Motion instructor Aharon and After Effects Kickstart instructor Noel Honig. You can filter sessions by product, topic, or whether they're streaming online, making it really easy to find exactly what you need. If you're short on time but want to catch something truly cutting edge, tune into the Sneaks portion of Wednesday's presentation. That's where Adobe shows off technology that they're working on that hasn't yet made it into the app, stuff that usually ships within 12 to 24 months. It's always really, really cool, so head to Adobe Max's site and start planning now. Maxon recently released Redshift version 2026 with a bunch of new features, but one feature that hasn't shipped yet is making waves on social media. Tessellation-free texture displacement. What on earth does that mean? Well, basically, when you use a texture as a displacement map on 3D geometry, the standard way of rendering that is to actually create additional geometry, either while you're working or when you hit render. This creates the extra geometry, aka tessellation or subdivision, that can then be displaced in 3D space. And it works really well because you're actually changing the geometry of your model, so lighting and shadows work correctly. But this has always been a very big render hog. Now, Maxon is teasing a new method that doesn't require tessellation or subdivision. No extra geometry needed. You get high quality displacement really, really fast. So who knows when this actually makes it into Redshift, but it looks very cool. If you're curious about what is in the latest version of Redshift, check out their fall release video from a few weeks back. There are improvements to the physical sun and sky models and some small quality of life improvements. Nothing too crazy, but this new texture displacement tech coming soon, I think that's actually going to be a pretty big game changer. Time for a quick School Motion news roundup. First, we're getting ready for our 10th annual holiday card. This is a collaborative project. It's open to everyone, so you don't have to be a student. Everyone gets the same color palette, theme, and a few seconds to animate. We string it together with sound design and release everything, including all the project files. Huge shout out to our friend Tracy Brinling for heading this up. She's been doing it for years. All the details are in the description. Also, All Access members participated in a live UX motion design workshop last week with Ivan Witteborg, a senior motion designer at Google. He talked about the mindset, tools, and techniques that you need to learn to work as a motion designer in the world of UX and product design, one of the biggest growth areas for motion design lately. If you're an All Access member, you can watch the replay in our community along with all of our other workshops. And mark your calendars because in 2 weeks, our next course launches, After Effects Insider, taught by Aharon, one of the most knowledgeable After Effects artists I've ever met. This course has more than 12 hours of intermediate and advanced training. It teaches you how to work as efficiently and quickly as humanly possible in After Effects with all the super nerdy, deep cut settings you wish you knew when starting out. Aharon is a wizard, and I've learned something brand new in literally every lesson, and I've been using After Effects for more than 2 decades. Check out All Access at schoolmotion.com for all the details. Aharon recently dropped a few Unreal Engine short films on our channel, including The Getaway. People were curious how he got such realistic vehicle animation, accurate suspension, rotating tires, the works. The answer is a plugin called Cinematic Car Rig. The light version is free and comes with most features you need, including a fully rigged demo car. The pro version starts at $120 and the professional version is $400. If you're doing car commercials, previs, or renders and need realistic, physically accurate car animation, this is like kind of a no-brainer. Aharon recorded a tutorial showing how it works. You create paths that the vehicles follow, and they automatically track the ground plane contour. You can adjust suspension, springiness, car weight, tire grip. It's an all-in-one setup, and the links are in the description. Cool news from Rive. They just launched a new pricing tier called Cadet for only $9 a month, giving you unlimited exports and all the premium features. But here's even better news. They're improving their free plan. Previously, you couldn't use audio or import your own fonts on the free version, and now you can. The free version is now for learning Rive, creating complex files using all the features. When you need to actually export for implementation in an app or website, that's when you need the paid version. So for motion designers still getting their sea legs with Rive, this is amazing. You've got an inexpensive plan for when you start working professionally with it, and you can learn to your heart's content for free. You can go through our entire Rive curriculum using the free version. Also, Rive CEO Guido Rosso is teasing their biggest feature yet at an upcoming NYC event with Duolingo, even bigger than State Machines. What could it be? Well, the November 5th meetup is already sold out, unfortunately, but we'll let you know what the feature is as soon as we find out. School of Motion art director Frank Suarez came across this incredible designer who also makes Photoshop plugins, and holy crap, these are amazing. The artist's name is Charlie Pangus, and there's a lot of things I like about Charlie, but the number one thing is that he's clearly a metalhead, doing merch designs for bands like Thy Art Is Murder and Upon a Burning Body. This man has taste. But he's also a pretty awesome plugin designer. The first one is called Displacement, and it's designed to make the very tedious, horribly designed UX of displacement maps in Photoshop way, way easier. This plugin has a ton of built-in textures from pexels, does all the work of setting up the displacement map for you, and gives you a more or less live way of adjusting the horizontal and vertical scale after it's set up. You can easily replace the displacement texture with something else. This is so much faster and easier than doing it manually in Photoshop. Another tool he made is called Auto Thresh, which automates that duotone, tritone look with a bunch of cool options and features, especially if you're designing things that are eventually going to be printed. There's a video on Charlie's YouTube channel showing exactly how the tool works, with tons of settings to dial in, like grain, thresholds for various values, what colors you'd like to use. It's all very cool. Check out Displacement and Auto Thresh from Charlie Pangus. The links are in the description. It's time to show off some great work. First up, yaddytheman.com. This is the portfolio site of Yut Foon Loon, who lives in the UK and has basically a perfect portfolio. The reason he popped up on my radar was his reel, which is just insane. It's got every style under the sun. Every single piece looks cool. There's great animation and design. I think it's a really good combo of widely used standard motion design styles that we're used to seeing and stuff that looks totally unique and wacky. I get a really great sense from this reel of Yut's depth, what he's good at, and what I'd get if I hired him. So congrats, dude. This is an awesome portfolio. Next, EJ found this older piece from Korean studio Hand for a fragrance brand called Freeman. What's interesting is the character development video, which shows how they used Midjourney to help with ideation, then brought those ideas into Photoshop for photo bashing and manipulation, eventually going into Cinema 4D to model, rig, texture, and render these animated characters. This, in my opinion, is a great example of how AI can help streamline really complex projects, especially ones involving character concepts. Midjourney plugged into the earlier part of the process and made this go faster, but Hand still had all the control to make these characters do anything they wanted in Cinema 4D. Super cool project. Finally, our friends at Stash featured this amazing piece for Major League Soccer's League Cup on Apple TV. This spot reminds me of the heyday of Patrick Clare title sequences. Gorgeous lighting, every frame almost looks like a Renaissance painting. There's really cool 3D modeling and texturing, great camera moves, and the making of videos show how they used photogrammetry to get models of soccer players, then brought them into Houdini to create the mosaic effect. Beautiful work, directed by Rahman Jafari, who's repped by Blink Inc., who also rep Becky and Joe. And if you know, you know.
Give me a holy bartender.
Our buddies at Dash recently worked with ShareFile, and what's cool isn't just the work, it's how they delivered it. ShareFile needed lots of video elements, but was budget constrained. So Dash built them a toolkit instead, a templated approach with imagery, text, and layouts that can be assembled like Legos to build any videos that ShareFile needs. They used essential properties, Mogurt files for Premiere, and templated After Effects files to make customization easy. A lot of companies have in-house teams now and want outside vendors to help them level up. This is a great way. Dash does what they're amazing at, and the client handles the grunt work of creating 15 different videos. It's really cool that Dash shared this process. You can check out the case study at the link in the description. Remember last year when Canva acquired Serif, makers of Affinity Photo and Designer? Something's happening. Affinity's site says creative freedom is coming on October 30th, and you can no longer buy their products. It's very interesting.
That's suspicious.
YouTuber Brad Colbo dug into the mystery and noted that when Serif was acquired, they pledged to maintain fair pricing and always offer perpetual licenses. Affinity fans love these apps because they're fast, modern apps that do almost everything Photoshop and Illustrator do, but with cheap one-time purchases, no subscription. Canva, though, is a subscription product, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll find out October 30th. What do you think? Are these becoming part of the subscription? Is this a new version release? Please drop your conspiracy theories in the comments. Time to feature our School Motion Student of the Week, Jeff Young from Kennesaw, Georgia. Jeff has a very cool portfolio with 2D and 3D on it, as well as some print and logo design, UX, UI design. He's kind of a Jeff of all trades. And a very solid reel with some high-profile broadcast work on it. Jeff finished up our Blender for 3D Artist course, completing this really cool little 3-second bumper animation completely in Blender. Jeff came from a Cinema 4D background and said he wasn't sure what to expect, but Elijah is a fantastic instructor, which is true, and he's been impressed by how powerful and robust Blender has become. So now he's leveled up his 3D skills with another very powerful tool. Great work, Jeff. I cannot wait to see what course you take next. Our friends at Scene Group have launched Cavalry 2.5 with a ton of new features, including some big ones. First, there's a bunch of new effects, things Cavalry users might have missed coming from After Effects, like blurs that react to luminance values, a true Gaussian blur, and a spherize effect. They've also added a chroma key and a planar tracker to Cavalry, which kind of opens up some new use cases. There's a laundry list of new updates on the release notes page, link in the description, but I think the biggest new feature is something called referencing. Essentially, this lets you import another Cavalry scene file as an asset and use it kind of like a pre-comp. What this means is one artist could be working on that referenced Cavalry file, and it will update automatically inside any downstream Cavalry files that reference it. It's kind of like XRefs in Cinema 4D. After Effects, unfortunately, doesn't have a native version of this, but it's really, really useful. We've officially started recording our first Cavalry course, which will be released early next year for all access students. Cavalry keeps getting more and more powerful. I've been playing around with it. It's super fun. And with these new features, it's getting even more capable. You can download the free version of Cavalry and try most of this out. We will link to it in the description. Here's another interesting tease from our friends at Maxon. They dropped this post on social media asking, what would you do if you could automatically estimate the depth in your footage? There are already tools on the market that can automatically estimate Z depth from footage, but it sure would be nice, since a lot of us have Red Giant and Maxon subscriptions, to have something like this built in. They also teased some new retopology tools for ZBrush dropping later this year, which will be really helpful. Retopology is a necessary evil, especially if you're working with lower poly setups like in the game dev world. For ZBrush users, this looks like a really nifty feature. And if you'd like to follow Maxon to get these updates yourself, they now have an Instagram page, and as of this recording, they only have 900 followers, so go give them a follow, will you? Material Maker is open source procedural material authoring, basically free Substance Designer. Not as robust as Substance, but it still has tons of features. It's great for getting started with visual material builders. CG Channel covered the 1.4 update, noting about 200 nodes available. This is another open source tool competing with expensive paid options. Like Blender, it gives artists an amazing on-ramp, and if they do outgrow it, justifying paid tools becomes easier. Meanwhile, open source pushes closed source developers to develop faster through competition. Check out Material Maker, the link is in the description. And that's it for Motion Mondays. In 2 weeks, After Effects Insider drops for all access students, and if you want to join our 10th annual holiday card, you have until December 3rd to submit. All the information is at the link in the description. Have an amazing week.
I'm translating nonsense into video pain. Can you make it sparkle? Can you make it shine? Sure. Let me just bend the laws of time. Coffee, cold, my laptop's hot.